Hello everyone, welcome to episode 29 of Show Viewer. Today we will be going over the first two volumes of Fire Punch by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the same dude who does Chainsaw Man. Now, in comparison to art, I believe that Fire Punch I honestly believe it's a little bit better than Chainsaw Man so far. I just feel like it's a little bit more in-depth and intricate rather than Chainsaw Man, but both of them are still really good art styles. But yeah, here's the cover of volume 1. Very sick looking cover. You got Agni there on the front, you got the back. And then for volume 2, you have Togata on the front. Turn it back. So, Fire Punch. Just before we get into this, I will kind of give a warning because it is some very dark topics. But, yeah, it's like dealing with SA and all that. So, first we are introduced to Agni and Luna. They are a pair of siblings, and both have regenerative abilities. And these abilities are referred to as blessed. These people who have them are referred to as blessed, so I guess I'll call them blessings. Some people have ones they call as fire. Some have electricity, stuff like that. So we see this, and they are living in a town, and since they can regenerate, they are removing their limbs and feeding the town people because the townspeople are starving due to there being no food availability and for it being a freezing landscape. The entire world of Fire Punch is just frozen. And so with that, we see as they're trying to feed him, and eventually this man and this military group of Behemorg, I believe it is. Let me see if I got the right name. It's either Behemorg or Behedorg. Where are we at? What's your language? Behemdorg. Yeah, okay. So Behemdorg, and this man comes out, and his name's Doma, and he sees that, well, they eventually bring back stuff, and the people with the military are like, yo, they're eating people. So he's like, the king would not be pleased with this. So he burns the entire village because he is a fire blessed whose fire lasts until the fuel source runs out. And he burns everything, kills everyone. And he gets Agni and Luna as well. However, Agni remains living because his body is regenerating continuously, but he's burning because he has very strong regenerative powers. However, Luna's powers are not that strong, and she ends up burning to ash right in front of Agni, with her last words being to tell him to live. So we see as Agni slowly develops the agony of his fire abilities now. I mean, it's not abilities, but his just existence burning. And he slowly becomes more dead too, but he never grows used to the pain. So with that, eventually he has a run-in where he finds a military convoy, and they're about to kill all these people, gun them down. Firing squad style, and he ends up saving this little boy, and the little boy's name is Sun. And he and Sun ends up tagging along for a little bit, and Sun is like I said, electricity blessed, who is he's just a cool little kid. He's very naive for the world he lives in, but he has become to see Agni as a god. And so eventually Agni and Sun end up going to Behemdorg, and they find Doma, and Agni tries to kill Doma, but this character by the name of Judah pulls up. Now, Judah is a regenerative blessed as well, and she has a plan to kill Agni. However, Judah looks a lot like Luna, and there was some weird stuff going on between Luna and Agni when they were younger, because they were the only two young people in the village, so I'll put that at that. You can presume what it is, but yeah, that was weird. But, so, Agni has a little bit more of a connection to seeing was technically his love interest, again, in adult form. But yeah, they end up decapitating Agni and taking Sun hostage. And so Agni is now decapitated, and this moves more into volume 2 now. And he's been decapitated, and his head's been wrapped in flame-proof fire cloth, and so he can be transported and thrown into the ocean. Now, as they're doing this, we see as Sun is taken to this room to where he's with this girl. Her name's Neneto, and they are both there to be violated. They are young children. Sun is 8 years old, and Neneto is 13, and they are there to reproduce, which is awful. But, yeah, like I said, it's a very dark world. And this man comes in, and he's like, yo, I'm not going to do anything to y'all, but he brings his dogs in. And you can tell what's going to go on. But, yes, but eventually they are able to escape by Sun using his electric powers. They run along for a little bit, but they're ultimately caught. Sun's legs are cut off, and he is taken to a blessed facility. and or like a blessed factory. Now, there the people in Behemdorg refer to useful people who are essentially slaves as firewood. But yeah, so that moves along, and we see as Nenato is recaptured, and she is under control of the man again. But then we, like I said, get more into book 2, where Nenato is on a train with these higher ups, and we are introduced to the character of Togata. I love Togata because Togata is pure anarchy, and she's obsessed with filming. Togata is a 300-year-old regenerative blessed, and she is obsessed with filming, but she lost her films in a fire, so she is bound and determined to make her own film. She goes everywhere filming with her little Sony camera that she was given. But yeah, after the fire, she was kind of broken down and all that, but they found a camera and that gave her a reason to live. And so she is on this train, and she is trying to get Agni because she heard about the fireman. Agni's head is being transported on this train, and Nenato's on this train as well. So she ends up pulling up on Nenato about to get violated, and she's telling him to do it. But eventually, they end up fighting Togata instead, and Togata ends up saving Nenato, even though she was telling her to get violated just a second ago. But Togata will do anything for the clip for the vine, and but yeah, that's probably not a good place to be joking. But I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit. But yeah, so that moves along, and she ends up saving Nenato, and she ends up coming into contact with Judah, who she's able to incapacitate and actually capture. And as they go to release Agni, she ends up getting him out, releasing the fire cloth, and he is saved. And eventually she tries to end up and throw Judah in the water instead, since they capture her and she killed everyone else. But yeah, so she does that, and Agni's like, no, don't kill her because she looks like his sister, and he believes that it is an older Luna. That's incorrect. Judah's actually like a 130-year-old regenerative, so it couldn't be Luna. But yeah, she ends up getting saved from the water because Agni has to agree to be a subject of Togata's film if he's going to let Judah live. So Togata ends up letting Judah live, and they end up returning her to Behemdorg. And eventually, Agni, Nenato, and Togata end up going to like this warehouse where Togata is planning on training Agni. And she just does this kind of things, but she also has Agni agree to be her actor because she says if he will be her actor, then they will kill Doma together. And that's Agni's big goal, is to kill Doma because of what he did to Luna and their entire town. So we move along, and we just see a little bit of a training arc. They're kind of teaching Togata's actually kind of teaching Nenato and Agni some words. They're not very good words. They're quite crass, but yeah. So we do that, and we get to see more of Sun. Sun, like I said, was put in this like factory, and it's where people are strapped down and drained for all their worth of their blessed abilities, and they're just all husk and stuff like that. And I'm not going to show it because they are nude, but no genitals are depicted. But yeah, it's pretty rough. And so with that, we see him, and we see his like first couple of days in it. Now, he does not break, unlike most people do, to the pain, because he is steadfast in his faith in Agni, because he believes Agni is God. And he started spreading the message of Agni to the people in there to give them hope. And they don't even care like if the stories are false. They just want to hear more stories of Agni. So that's honestly kind of cool. I want to see where that goes. I think it might go in like a Cult of Chainsaw Man, like in the Chainsaw Man series. I don't know. I put it back there. I don't have a Chainsaw Man volume because I just read it online. But yeah, so it'll probably be going to like a Cult of Chainsaw Man. I'm thinking it maybe because this work actually came out before Chainsaw Man. So I'm ready to see where it goes. But yeah, so after that we see a brief like escapade by Togata. And Togata ended up going to Behemdorg, finding Judah, negotiating with her, and was like, okay, I need you to release these high-class prisoners. Because she meets up with Doma, and she's like, Doma's pathetic. He's a guy, because once Doma is met after the brief time skip of Agni growing up and dealing with his pain, he's a broken man. He's just so sorry for everything. It doesn't really matter. He's done unforgivable things, but he's broken down. He's apologizing to Agni, but he's just like, you can't kill me. That's the one thing you can't do. So it's really stupid. But Doma is not a satisfying villain for Togata's movie. She's like, okay, I need you to do something. I'm going to bring in Agni here to fight Doma, but I want you to release these 3 super powerful, I think it's 3 or 4 super powerful blessed prisoners that y'all have. that is like serial killers and stuff like that, because I'm home to fight Agni. And she does that, but yeah, that's really where Volume 2 ends, and I'm really loving Fire Punch so far. It's like the dark world that's right up my alley, like Berserk. I love Berserk because it's dark, but it's also gripping, and the character development's good too. And it grabs me faster, like a Game of Thrones world, even though it's not too dark, it grabs you, because it's just like, it's like seeing a car crash when you can't turn your eyes away, even though you want to. But, yeah, so, yeah, I didn't show you the spawns. But I really loved Fire Punch so far. I can't wait to get more volumes. There's only 8 volumes, so it's not that long of a series. So, I'll probably get a couple more sometime soon, make a review on those. But, yeah, that is it for the first 2 volumes of Fire Punch and for Shelf Review episode 29. So, I thank you very much for watching.